Well, no, he's
Good afternoon, everybody. I'll call this meeting of the Development and Services Committee to order. Call the roll for attendance.
Yes, ma'am. Pugh,
Here.
Teratio,
Here.
Barron,
Here.
English,
present.
Newton.
Here.
We have a quorum.
Thank you. Item 2 on our agenda is the approval of our minutes from September. Those can be found on pages 7 through 10 of our packet. Is there a motion regarding the agenda?
So moved.
Second.
Madam Chair,
Yes, Ms. Newton?
there's just a small scrivener's error under item B. Depending on how you look at it, I guess it's the third paragraph where it says Ms. Newton inquired if this item was time sensitive. But with that small scrivener's change, I'm fine.
Thank you. Malinowski?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'd just like for the record to state that as a council member, the agenda I have has been amended, and I was just handed the amended agenda version. So any of our public out there that has the version I do, there'll be another item being discussed that they may not have the information on listed as 4C. That's all. Thank you.
Great, thank you, Mr. Malinowski.
Madam Chair.
We have a motion and a second
Madam
on the
Chair.
floor. Oh, yes, sorry.
I don't have the amended agenda.
Okay. Okay, thank you. I'll just wait for Ms. English to get the updated agenda.
Thank you.
Right, so we have a motion and a second regarding the minutes from September. Are there any further changes to the minutes? Hearing none, I'll ask Ms. Only to call the roll for that item.
Pugh,
Yes.
Horatio,
Yes?
Barron,
Yes.
English,
Yes.
Newton. Motion passes.
Thank you. Okay, so item 3 is the adoption of our agenda, and I believe everyone now has the updated copy of the agenda, which includes item 4C, the Division of Solid Waste and Recycling. The pages that is referring to were not in the online agenda as of a few minutes before this committee meeting started, but they are on pages starting page 443, I believe, of our September packet. And council members are getting a warm, freshly copied briefing document at this moment.
Madam Chair,
Yes.
this item is listed as an item for action. And so whether we talk about it now, we talk about it later, I guess I would like to understand the time sensitivity of it, because they are 40 pages that have just been placed in front of me, and I don't know that I'm ready.
Would staff like to speak to time sensitivity of having this item on our agenda?
So one of the things that we talked about actually at the previous meeting is that we want to give council some time, and we're not up against it at this meeting. So, ideally, if you needed to, again, absorb information and come back with another meeting, you're okay to do that. So, but yes, ma'am, we want to try to see if we're going to move this item forward. But it's not time sensitive to the point you have to take an action this meeting.
Okay, thank you.
Well, I guess, and I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
And so, thank you for that, and I'm happy to digest. I guess I'm just acknowledging it's hard to digest when I didn't have it before, so, thank you. I think Ms. Barron wanted
Ms. Barron and then Mr. Pugh, is that okay?
So I just wanted to ask, the document that we received today, are there any changes from the document that we received in previous meetings?
It is the same document that you received at the September meeting.
Thank you.
Madam Chair, I'm good.
Okay, thank you. So we have the agenda in front of us. We have our briefing documents in front of us. Is there a motion regarding the agenda?
Move to approve the agenda as amended.
Second.
Any further discussion regarding the agenda? Okay, hearing none, I'll ask Ms. Only to call the roll.
Pugh,
Yes.
Horatio,
Yes?
Barron,
Yes?
English,
Yes.
Newton. Motion passes.
So that gives us 3 items for action today. Item 4A is an ordinance authorizing quitclaim deed of Olympia Alleyway to contiguous land for Outlaw, 726 Maryland Street. Question regarding that item.
Move to approve.
Second.
Been moved and properly seconded. Any discussion? Hearing and seeing none, I'll ask Ms. Only to call the roll to approve the quitclaim.
Pugh,
Yes.
Horatio,
Yes?
Barron,
Yes?
English,
Yes.
Newton. Motion passes.
Item 4B is a motion to direct staff to evaluate current zoning laws that permit zoning designations for large residential developments to remain in perpetuity and present options to reevaluate and/or rezone those properties if they are not developed within 7 years. Recommendations should include processes to ensure that zoning and the comprehensive plan remain consistent with the lived character of the community. Ms. Newton?
Madam Chair,
Yes.
We've been in conversations with staff about the intent of the motion and opportunities to fulfill the intent consistent with the Land Development Code rewrite that we are currently in the process of. And so I move that we hold this item in committee to allow us to continue to have those conversations with staff, and that we bring it back at the next meeting as an item for discussion and/or action.
Second.
Any discussion regarding that item?
I just have a question, Madam Chair.
Yes, Ms. English.
I just want to make sure that when we're looking at this, we want to make sure that it's not a legally binding, I guess, document where we can be sued. Currently, once a property is zoned, it pretty much stays zoned. And the reason I'm asking is because if I buy land and then you tell me I can't do anything with it, or you change it back, where does that leave the owner of the land? So I just want to make sure that legal has a chance to actually go through this so we don't have any loopholes or anything that can leave us open.
Newton, would you?
I would, and thank you. It's so weird not being able to see you down there, so I'm looking at you in spirit through the
And
plexiglass.
I'm sorry, Ms. Newton, before you answer, and I'm thinking of the things that we're in now. I'm thinking of COVID. I'm thinking of those people that have cancer. I'm thinking of those car accidents where people or things can affect you and you don't have 7 years. So I'm thinking about things like that as well as time frame. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. English. If I may, and obviously I'm not an attorney, and we do have a briefing from Attorney McLean on this. Part of the intent with my motion is not to make something that's hard and fast, and what we've been staff is a process, is how can we create a process that will trigger a review, because council currently has at our discretion the ability to go back and rezone properties, but we want to make sure that it's something that we're looking at and we're evaluating proactively as opposed to waiting reactively. And as I intended, or as I mentioned in previous conversations, the 7-year period was just, I had to pick some increment of time to start the conversation, but those are things that we will be talking about. But I'm not looking for a hard and fast rule, because that would eliminate council's discretion, but just more visibility as that goes.
Thank you.
Mr. Livingston?
Yes, I forgot to recognize Mr. Danny Crow. Mr. Danny Crow is legal representation for committee meetings this evening.
Thank you for bringing that up, Mr. Livingston. I apologize for the oversight. Welcome to our meetings. Okay, so that brings us to item 4C, which is the Division of Solid Waste and Recycling, Richland County Code of Ordinances, Chapter 12 rewrite. That is pages 33 through 79, which were just delivered, but also previously delivered to us for the September meeting and in that packet.
Point of order.
Yes, Ms. English. No, Newton, sorry.
I don't know what you called me, but I've
Okay.
been called worse. There's a motion on item 4B that was properly seconded.
I'm sorry. Thank you for bringing me back to that. So we have a motion and a second on item 4B. Is there any further discussion? Okay, now hearing none, I'll ask Ms. Only to call the roll. Thank you.
Pugh,
Yes.
Horatio,
Yes.
Barron,
Yes.
English,
Yes.
Newton.
Yes?
Motion passes.
Okay, thank you. Honest there. Now that brings us to item 4C, the Division of Solid Waste and Recycling item. That is newly pages 33 through 79 of our current packet. And I have been told that there are no changes in this item from the September agenda item. Is there any discussion or motion regarding that? And it looks like Administrator Brown would like to speak.
I do think there is some information that you probably want to hear from staff on this particular item, even though there are no specific changes within the document, Madam Chair. And if you allow Mr. Ersman to come to the podium, I would also ask for him to provide the council a more definitive time frame related to when this could become time sensitive.
Thank you.
Madam Chairman, members of County Council, good afternoon. Chris Eversman, Deputy Director of Public Works, and the author of the revised ordinance that is before you. Yes, so just to review so that we are all on the same sheet of music, this identical document was brought before you in your September meeting. So if you refer back to your September packet, it's identical. No changes have been made as of this time. There is, however, as County Administrator Brown refers to, since that time, we have received proposals for solid waste curbside collection in 3 of our 8 collection areas. And we did offer the proposers a alternate to see what would be the cost benefit of yard waste being bagged, boxed, or bundled. And counter to my intuition, there was very little savings, if any at all, which was very surprising to me, but I'm not a solid waste professional in the business. So as a result of that, if you consider the bagged, bundled, and boxed proviso for curbside collection of yard waste, be advised that there will not be a significant cost savings associated with, as we thought there might be when we drafted the ordinance.
Thank you.
And I can elaborate further on that if you would like me to, but like I say, it does not appear based on proposals received from, I guess, a total of 4 or 5 different collectors, that there would be a cost savings associated.
Any questions from committee members?
And Madam Chairman, if
yes.
I will, that was the time-sensitive component, because as you are aware, we are getting ready to recommend awards for 3 of our collection areas.
Got it. And that would have been my question, is how does our work in this committee affect the awards for contracts in the upcoming committee? So would you like to speak to that?
Yes, ma'am. There would have been a direct connection, if you will, if we wanted to move forward with the bagged, boxed, and bundled. But again, if you are looking at cost as the determinant, like I say, there was not a significant cost advantage. And when you consider the level of effort that would probably be required in education and possibly enforcement, that will be a very hard sell.
Ms. Newton?
I just wanted to say thank you for looking at that and for bringing that back and coming back to us, because, as you know, many of us had concerns, and I just appreciate your quick evaluation of that matter and bringing it back to the body. So thank you.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you. But I do want to point out, we started on the RFP process back in the early summer, and I commend my colleagues within the department, because the way we structured the cost proposal form, that was specifically broken out, and that was separated as an alternate. So we really do have good, realistic numbers. We're not guessing. So thank you, ma'am. Appreciate that acknowledgement.
Other questions or comments from the committee or other council members? Yes, Mr. Malinowski.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I would just like to say that while this is the exact same thing we're being told that was in our September packet, I can't speak for the others. I don't have the September packet here, and if we were going to be doing discussion on it, I would have looked at it to see what questions or comments I had, so.
Yes, sir, I understand.
That's all. Just want to make the committee aware of that. Thank you.
Yes, sir, thank you.
This is an action item. Ms. English, did you want to speak to this?
And Administrator Brown touched on it, but when is the final date for approval on this? Do you need to have?
Yes, ma'am. The yard waste issue of whether we want to make it a matter of law for yard waste to be bagged, boxed, and bundled, staff no longer recommends that. And that was the issue that was going to have the time sensitivity attached to it. Now, with that said, as I tried to share with the committee last time, that is on one page of this ordinance, and there are, don't want to sound pride of authorship here, but there is a lot of good stuff in here, and we don't want it to get forgotten about or waylaid or stuck in committee forever. We definitely do want to move forward with it, but the time sensitivity, as far as the immediacy of it, ma'am, is kind of gone away.
Oh, okay, thank you.
Barron.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and Mr. Ansel, thank you and your team for really looking into this matter. And, you know, outside of having to get this document late so that I could just at least look at it to make sure it was the same one I read before, I would have been ready to vote on it today. And so what I would like to say, you know, if you're ready for us to vote on it, let us get it in a timely manner so we can just kind of make sure we get the same document. And because you're right, you did a fantastic job.
I didn't say fantastic.
I had an opportunity to talk to Mr. Ansel after the last committee meeting, and I told him, you know, coming from ground zero, really from a document, it says volumes for the work that's being put in, but just as a level of comfort, I would like for us just to be able to review this document, and then if indeed this is something you want us to vote on at our next committee meeting, please make sure it's in our packet so that we can review it just as the integrity of the process. Thank you.
Yes, Ms. Newton.
I move that we item until our November.
Second.
Been moved and properly seconded. Any further discussion on this item? Great. I trust we'll all be ready to move this forward before Thanksgiving. Thank you all. Ms. Only, yep. Yes. Will you call the roll?
Yes. You,
Yes.
Horatio,
Yes.
Barron,
Yes.
English, Newton.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Thank you so much. That brings us to item 5, items pending analysis, no action required today. This item 5A is I move to direct the county attorney to work with the county administrator to research and draft an absentee landlord ordinance. And we have an update that staff is considering additional language to their proposal to help eliminate staff costs, as well as analyzing a secondary program to facilitate a long-term approach to the motion. And staff will continue to work with us in their efforts. Ms. Newton, did you want to speak to that?
I have a question. So I don't know that I've received any updates on this since our previous meeting, and so I just wanted to understand, while staff is working on this, if there's a time frame with which we expect that they're going to come back either to this committee or to me so we can talk about the motion.
Sure. Ms. Newton and Madam Chair, I'm going to ask Mr. Mike Zapp, building official who works with us on this process, to come down and address that question for you, Councilmember Newton.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Madam Chair, Ms. Newton, in reference to the absentee landlord or the rental permit thing, we went back after our meeting with you. We kind of re-looked the whole idea based on the guidance that you provided. So we downsized the staffing. We looked at current processes, because one of the guidance was that when we look at this, we don't want to just add staff to accomplish something. We want to look at the processes. So if there's something animal control can do without adding staff, then that needs to be done. The other thing was the timeline in which these actions happen, because we know someone complains, goes to the ombudsman's office, and they say, let's just, for instance, there's all kinds of college furniture in the front yard. Well, that turnaround, our ordinances may say we have to notify the individuals or the owner once we identify them, and then we give them a timeline. And we know that's usually a very lengthy process. So it ends up 30 days, or maybe even longer, which was not the intent of the motion. So we looked at that, and trying to tie those in is where we're at now. We just completed the rough draft, and I sent that out today for the work group to look at it to make sure. And then I would say ACA Jensen has it. He's going to review it also, Mr. Price. And then once they kind of give their thoughts on it, then we'll be reaching out to the two of you who initially sat down with us for that review. So I'm thinking, if all goes well, we'll probably have that to you sometime next week, because it's just pending review. It's completed in a draft format, and we'll have you look and seek further guidance. So that's kind of where it's at.
Thank you. That was a very helpful answer. And again, just thank you to you and your committee for all of the work that you've been doing, because it has been pulling together many, many departments across the county and looking at some complex issues, and I do appreciate your help.
Thank you.
I see that ACA Jensen has come onto video. Would you like to speak to this item?
Madam Chair, if I may, thank you very much. Again, ACA Jensen for the record. Very briefly, first of all, I'd like to thank our building official for his summary. I just wanted to reemphasize the fact that we have been working on this together. We have a proposal for you. It's a multiple phase proposal, one that would include a quick, I want to say a triage type fix that would address some of the issues very quickly that the committee has expressed. And then it also includes some longer term solutions that would further ameliorate the issue, but that will take some time, but they are more comprehensive in nature. And so we're very excited to bring this before you, and we will come back as soon as we can with our proposals.
Thank you so much for that update. Any further questions or discussion from the committee? Yes.
Second.
Been moved and properly seconded for adjournment.
Yeah. Few.
Yes.
Teresa. Barron.
Yes.
English.
Yes.
Newton. Motion passes.
Thanks, everybody.